Okay. Okay. Welcome to Black Talk Show. I have with me today, I have Coach Janine as my co-host, and I have Marcin. Am I saying that right? Marcin?
Yes, yes.
Okay. How do you say your last name? I don't want to miss
It's Lapczynski.
Lapczynski.
Yes.
Okay. So welcome to the show. How are you today?
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. I am very well.
You're very well. Okay. That's good. First I want to start off by having you introduce yourself.
Okay,
Yeah.
my name is Marcin Lapczynski. I am a certified divorce coach, motivational speaker, transition and recovery coach as well. I am a single divorced parent.
Okay. So we're gonna start off today talking about the men and divorce. Is that right? That's the subject for today. So can you share a bit about your journey and what inspired you to become a divorce coach,
Yes.
specifically focusing on men going through awakening process during divorce?
So long story short, my first girlfriend became my first wife. We have been together for 15 years, married for 12 years, and we have two beautiful children. My son Aiden is 13, and my daughter Victoria is 9. And throughout the whole journey, prior to the kids, me and my former wife, we had lots of fun together when we were dating, when we got married, we bought our first home. We had good jobs, we had good careers, we had beautiful home, cars, vacations, where we can travel, enjoy our lives, and do things, prior to the coming of the kids and so on. And later on, when we decided to have our children, my son was born, Aiden, and then 4 years later, my daughter was born. And what was happening in a marriage is what I see right now is that where the parents, both parents, are giving the time and energy to the children. And what is happening is that for us, the husband and wife, when we start to lose track of each other, and the intimacy, that love starts fading away, because you know what, hey, we are tired because we are immersed with kids, with the schoolwork, with the activities around the house, with all the other things, everything that is happening. And you know what, we get trapped in this vicious cycle where we do the same thing over and over. And we forget, for this is what happened in my marriage, where you know what, later on down the line, where we did not go out as many times as we would like to, because whether we were tired, because you know what, we had to take care of the kids, or we had no babysitter, and all those different things that would always come up, that you know what, that would not allow us, to go out to do things together. And we would, like I said, do those same routines over and over. And in 2019, December, I moved out for three weeks out of the house, because it got to the point where it felt like there's two strangers living underneath one roof.
Yes.
And after the 3 weeks, it was during Christmas and New Year's. And when I moved out to my parents' house, because she's like, you know what, let's just take some time apart and clear the air, and you know what, let's refigure these things out. And after 3 weeks, I had my kids during that time. It was Sunday in the evening, afternoon, because I was going back to work. It was around this time of the year where it was New Year's and kids were going back to school. I got home. My former wife was not home. When we got home, opened up the doors, it was dark, and kids missed their house. They missed their baths, they missed their toys, and so did I. I missed, talking to my wife. I missed sleeping in a bed, and just the whole house. And after half an hour, when she got back home, she went grocery shopping. So I helped her with the bags. We put them on a countertop, and we started unpacking the grocery bags. And as we started talking, because I haven't talked to her, I haven't emailed her, texted her, called, none of that. So we had no contact for 3 weeks. And, I missed my wife as well. And as I started talking, asking questions, I knew there was something wrong. And you know what? I could read the body language, the energy, that it just wasn't there. And when I would speak to someone, then I would expect the eye contact and so on. But you know what? She was looking downward, and it got to the point where I'm like, you know what? Hey, it's been 3 weeks, and I'm moving back in. And then she's like, "No, you're not." I'm like, "What do you mean?" Well, you know what? We said, "Hey, 3 weeks," and you're gonna be, "No, you're not." And we didn't get into no fights. There was no arguing. There was none of that stuff. But then she just walked away, and all of a sudden I see, a police at my front door, and I'm like, "What's going on? What happened?" "Oh, we got a call that your wife called, and she says that she feels not safe around you." I'm like, "Wow." That was a
Yeah.
shocker to me. I was blindsided. Like,
Yeah.
there's no physical alteration. There's nothing going on, and so on. So the police officer went to listen to her story. They listened to my story. I describe everything in details how it happened, and then he says that, what, one of you have to leave the house. I'm like, why? Well, you have to leave the house. And back then, I didn't know that I didn't have to, because later on, I found out from my attorney that, what, if there's no physical alteration, there is no harm or anything that you're doing to the other person, or the person's doing it to you, then you don't have to leave, per state of Illinois. But it got to the point where, I said that, what, I'm done. So then I was in my kitchen, and I was kneeling on my right knee, and you know what? Because my former wife told the kids, like, "Hey, say goodbyes to your father." So as I got down on my knee, my 4-year-old daughter came by. She gave me a big bear hug, and she's like, "Daddy, don't leave. Daddy, don't leave." She was just crying profusely. And later on, my son, he came over because he didn't know what was happening. He came from the side, gave me another big bear hug. He was just squeezing me so hard, and he just started to get very emotional. And at that moment, I felt like I was stabbed in the back by my best friend with a kitchen knife.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I felt like a statue. Like, I couldn't even move. I couldn't even breathe. Like, I was there physically, but I felt like my soul, my spirit just left my body.
Hmm.
Like, I blacked out. Like, I was in shock, like, for a couple seconds. And later on, you know what? She started pulling the kids off. Your father's got to leave. Your father's got to leave. So as soon as I stood up, and as I was walking towards front door, because that's where I left my suitcase that was unpacked that I brought from my parents' house, I took the suitcase, and you know what? I'm like, I started to get emotional and started feeling like I am a failure.
Hmm.
That, I am not wanted by my best friend, by my wife, by my children, in my own home.
Yeah. Mm.
And I had no place to go. I was 35 years old. And you know what? Thank God that, I called my parents. My parents took me in, because otherwise, either I would end up homeless, or who knows if I would be here speaking with you ladies.
Hmm.
So, and then as soon as I walked out, I was driving to my parents' house, and that was the final straw that did it, where I said, you know what, I'm done. I'm done. I cannot live like this anymore. So the whole journey, how did it started? Because I was the first one in my family to ever go through a divorce. No one else in my family, went through a divorce. So I didn't even know kind of like what divorce is. How do I even begin? How do I start? The first thing that I heard, from other people, that you got to get a divorce attorney. So I did that. So, I started searching. I went to one attorney, second attorney, third attorney, and so on. And the last attorney asked me, "Hey, did she already file?" And I'm like, "I don't know." So she went to the computer, she checked, and she's like, "You know what? She did not file, but I have some bad news for you." I'm like, "What is it?" "Well, she put an order of protection against you." And I'm like, "What is that?" I didn't even know. I never got arrested, never got into the problem with the law. And she's like, "Well, for 21 days, you cannot see your kids, you cannot call them, text them, you cannot go home or nothing." I was shocked.
Oh man.
The whole world was just falling apart, because 90%, 95% of all the activities, because I was the one that was coming home early, I did everything with the kids. We went to the park, we did all the activities, I did grocery shopping, we went to the bike rides, we did all those different things. And now, can you imagine your son, your daughter being taken away for you, and you have zero contact with them? Like,
Mm.
what man, what woman go through that? It
Yes.
is such a shock, to your body. You're so emotionally overwhelmed. You're so stressed out. Like, I was numb. I was walking around like zombie for a couple for a
Mm.
couple for a couple weeks, because I didn't know what was happening. I was emotionally, internally self-destructing.
Mm-hmm.
because you know what, there was no one really there for me to help me, to guide me through this process. I didn't know what question to ask for the attorney. I didn't have a lot of money, back then, to invest into attorney, because divorces are very, what's called, expensive processes. If you don't have amicable divorce, then it can cost you thousands of dollars. You got to pay a retainer. That retainer
Mm-hmm.
goes really quick. Then, hey, I need another $5,000. I need another $10,000, and it just goes on and on. So, as the
Yes.
whole journey started, then afterwards, after the order of protection was removed, I was able to see my children, and I was so angry at God, at myself, at the whole world. Like, God, why did this happen to me? Like, why me? I go to church every Sunday. I am a good person. I don't do any bad to anybody or anything. We had a perfect family. So
Mm-hmm.
back then, I didn't understand like why it was me, but now 4 years after, I do now. But the whole journey.
So
Go
let
ahead.
me let me ask you some more questions.
Yeah,
How do you define the concept on awakening in the context of men dealing with divorce,
yeah.
and why
So
it's important for
to
their healing and growth?
yeah. So to me, why I named Awakening Coaching, because this whole journey of rediscovering myself or healing myself was a rebirth of myself that I have reawakened. But you know what? I was not able to do it on my own. I needed some outside help, and I written down goals because I lost my family, I lost my children, I lost myself, I lost my self identity. I was really lost. I had no goals, I had no purpose. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know how to speak to people. I shut myself down internally. And there was something, I believe it was God that kept pushing me, that kept just pushing me. And what they say, when the student is ready, the teachers appear. So I
Mm-hmm.
started looking how to get better in public speaking. Like, I got to go out there, I got to talk to people. So I came across Mr. Les Brown,
Mm-hmm.
and he had a program called The Power Voice. So I invested in myself, and I have learned about the power of storytelling. And through Mr. Les Brown, I have met a mindset coach. And I never in my life knew that there are coaches out there that can really help you throughout your whole journey. And investing, it takes time, it takes energy, and it takes a lot of money, if you want
Yeah.
to invest in a good coach. So what happened is, all the savings that I had left. So when I went to the consultation, the lady says, "Hey, for a 6-month program will cost, $8,000." And I'm like, that's all the money I had, left from the divorce after we split everything. And never in my life I invested in self-development and growth, none of that stuff. So fear was really stopping me. I was afraid. What if this doesn't work out? What if I lose all my money? And then here I go again, I'm a failure. But you know what, I told myself that I already hit the rock bottom. I already lost it all. How much farther down can I go?
Mm-hmm.
So you know what, I'm gonna go all in. I'm gonna bet all the chips on myself. And I did it. I invested in myself, and that was one of many best decisions that I have done for myself. Because what that coach did for me is he extracted the gifts, the talents, the potential that I did not even know that I had within me.
So that was your awakening.
That was my awakening.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. And then so okay, so could you walk us through a typical coaching session with you, that what kind of strategy or exercise might you employ to help your clients navigate through divorce?
Yeah. So, great question, Tina. So I work with single divorced man and woman.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't work with everyone. When clients come to me, I love to have a discovery session. I want to know who they are as a person. I want to hear their story, because you know what? There are people that are seeking help, but they are not willing to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Sometimes, they don't have the money to invest,
Mm-hmm.
and I do help them anyway. But you know what? I am looking for the willingness and the commitment that, because you're not doing this for me, you're doing this for yourself, to better your life, to better your
Yes.
children's life. So that's the preface, how I pre-screen my clients. And then later on, what I love, I am their sounding board. I am their thinking partner. So to me, as I've been doing this when I started 3 years, and I have worked with some coaches when I got certified, through the divorce as a certified divorce coach. And to me, where the whole journey begins is with us, with
Mm-hmm.
me, right? I can start with mindset coaching you. I can do all this stuff. But you know what? Let's begin. Let's talk about your childhood. Let's see if there are any traumas.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see who you are as a person, because everything all begins with us.
Yes.
What is going on the inside, right? Because I can give you all the tools on the outside, but it's like putting a band-aid on a wound.
Mm-hmm.
Let's heal those
Yes.
wounds internally, and then let's find out, hey, what is your goal, what is your purpose, right? What are some of the challenges that you're dealing with? Then I'll help you, get you from point A to point B, remove those obstacles. Because what I do, I love, like I said, mindset, work on
Mm.
myself. Who am I? With self-love, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if I can self-love myself, then I can heal myself.
Yes. So now I'm going to turn it over to Coach Janine to ask you a few questions.
Wow, it's really your story. It's very inspiring. um, to me, you really an example of self-discovery and really awakening. To me, because we always hear this myth about men don't talk, men don't open up, but just listening to your story, it's really empowering. So my first question to you before I go into other question: how do you deal with your client, specifically men who don't talk? How do you help them to open up? How do you
Yeah.
do that?
Good question. You know what? When I started my coaching journey, I was just focusing on men, right? Because I asked myself, now that I have the tools, I have the experience, right? Why not share it with the man, with the woman? Because in United States, every 39 seconds, someone is getting divorced. 48% of divorce ratio. So per every two couples that get married, one of them will get divorced. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a pandemic. There's a pandemic that no one really talks about. And so many men, so many women are walking wounded. They are bleeding. They are unhealed. And my goal is to break those generational curses. So 95% of my clients are females.
Mm.
5% of my clients are males. And this is how we men are just made, how we are structures, because I was this person where I lack the communication. I lack to share how am I feeling, what is going on inside of me, because you know what, our society teaches us to be strong, right? Not to shed a tear, right? Be a man. But what is happening, how do we men cope with our feelings, with our emotions? What was happening with me, because I did not express how I feel, how I act, right? Because I thought that, you know what, I will be viewed as a weak person. And I was emotionally self-destructing, because we men says, hey, everything is okay, I am fine, I don't need your help, right? But you know what? Internally, you are self-destructing. Now, I'm not saying all, but there are men that I haven't worked with where their wives have emotionally destroyed them. They have, and they have hit such a bad rock bottom where they didn't even know where to begin. And I have few male clients that I work with that we are now, hey, rebuilding. We are going through this healing journey.
Okay, and my second question to you: how do you help men, with the communication skills? How do you help them, even though they don't talk, but how do you motivate them
Yeah.
to be a better communicator?
Yeah. So, for me is I love doing one-on-one coaching because it's a safe zone where there's no judgment. Because sometimes we are ashamed, to really tell strangers, right? How do I feel? What is going on inside? So what we do, as for female clients, how do I don't make them talk, right? I have a certain way of, approaching a person, certain way of asking certain question where we open up the door slowly, where the person feels comfortable that, hey, you know what? It is okay for me to express the way I feel. It is okay for me, to tell Marcin that, hey, this is what I'm going through. because people, they need to trust you first. Because otherwise, you know what, if I don't trust you, if you are coaching me, and I know that, you know what, hey, maybe you're not the right person for me, then I'm not going to be honest with myself, and I will not tell you truly, deeply what is going on inside of me. I'll just give you a little bit, just
Mhm.
to, hey, that you said that you helped me and things like that.
Well, that's very true. And how do you approach, other holistic practice, like in your coaching, and why do you believe that these are effective tools that men on going through like a divorce?
Uh, Good question. Because you know what? I went through this journey. So I didn't know much about your conscious, your subconscious mind, right? Your programming, the story that we tell ourselves, limiting beliefs, because every single one of us is a product of our environment.
Yes.
So if you really, you know, I'm gonna talk about myself because I didn't know anything about that stuff. Like I because in my life, right? Because I would work, come home, sit on a couch, and watch TV. I wanted to get a different results because I want to have a lifestyle like my friends. I want to drive the cars that they had. I want to live in the homes that they had and things like that. But I'm like, I am doing same thing over and over, and I'm expecting different results. And I didn't understand like why is this happening? Like how many people do we know that have New Year's resolutions?
Yeah.
So 96% of people on January or December 31st, they do their New Year's resolution. By the end of, the year, December 31st, the statistics show that only 4% of people are successful with their New Year's resolution. Why? Because this is how 95% of people are programmed. They are operating on the same program over and over. And I this is what I learned from my coach. And when we do the one-on-one or group coaching with my clients, I share them about our human psychology. How do we operate? Why do we do things that we do? Why are we getting the results that we're getting? Why do we need goals in our life? Why do we need a direction in our life? And so on. So I hope that explains.
Absolutely, yeah. So how do you help men, especially after divorce, like to be able to have, like a balance, to be able to have like a new life, how they can be able to go on? How do you help them?
So you know what? That healing, so basically we start with healing, then we do rebuilding, and we do the rediscovery. It is a journey because you know what? It really takes time. It took you so many years to become the person that you are today. So you're not going to become someone new overnight. It is another journey, but you know what? You got to have a direction. Where am I going? And same thing with rebuilding my self-image. Who am I? How many people, for example, I'll give you one example, want to be a millionaire, but they have a poverty mindset. So what's in between? We have a gap that we got to address this gap. So that's one of it, right? But if I have a goal and I know what kind of person I got to become, because obviously my old model will not get me to reach my goal. So what I got to do? I got to become a new model
Mm-hmm.
to get me there.
Yes. Okay. But anymore, I thought, thank you for we have about 10 minutes left. So I
Sure.
want to give each one of y'all closing remarks. So Coach Janine, you can go first, and I'll give uh Marcin the last.
Absolutely. So thank you again, Marcel. Thank you so much for sharing this, Coach Marcel. My last question to you is that how do you encourage men or women who are listening to you? They haven't taken that first step of trusting themselves to be able to open up or to seek help. How can you encourage them just by listening to us today?
Yeah. Thank you for that, Coach Janine. Ladies and gentlemen, today, if you are listening, watching this podcast episode video, there's a reason why you came across this material. There's a calling for you. You have been asking, and your prayers have been answered. I, Coach Tina, Coach Janine, we are here for you. And I want to tell you that you are not alone. You are not alone. I am here with you. I will help you. I will guide you. I will show you the way. Because I've been there 4 years ago. I lost it all. I hit the rock bottom. And then, you know what? Not to brag about it, but I want to show you what is possible, what you can have, and who you can become in your life. Because you have so much infinite potential within you. You have so many gifts. You have so many potential. Why not rediscover them? Why take them to the grave with you? Maybe you have a cure for AIDS. Maybe you have a cure for other diseases that are in the world. Maybe you are one of the best scientists or best musicians, best writer. Let's rediscover your purpose. Let's rediscover who you are, because you deserve to live the best life on this earth. You really do. There's a purpose why God put you on this beautiful earth. So why not? Why stay in your comfort zone? Let's step outside of it. And let's see what's on the other side. Let's see what awaits you. Because I can promise you, if you invest in yourself, if you do this work, you will see phenomenal results. And I believe that, you know what, the world needs you. The world really do needs you. And I want to tell you that I love you. I care about you, that you are worthy, that you are loved, that you are appreciated, that I care about you. I am here for you. And this is why I chose to do this, to help men, women out there that are struggling, that are suffering. We will do this together. Let's link our arms together and let's make this world a much better place. Let's spread the love. Let's spread the positivity. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So it was a great interview because I enjoyed. You gave a lot of feedback to help somebody out, and they can always. So can you give them your contact information?
Yeah, so you can go to my website. It's www.coachmarcin.com. You can find me on social media: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. Just type in my first and last name, Marcin Lapczynski. You can also call me directly at 773-805-6861.
Okay, thank you. So also I want before we go, I wanted to talk about we have me and Coach Janine. We're part of a anthology coming out. It's called The Power of Umoja. And if you was interested in being a part of that, so we have so anybody that's looking to be in a global magazine, it's going to be written in 3 different languages. So it's going to be in Spanish, French, and Swahili. Is that right? Swahili. And so we're also looking for ambassadors to be a part of this project. And so just spread the word out to everybody that you know that's interested in becoming in a global anthology. But the name of the book is called The Power of Umoja. It's
Okay, thank
Umoja
you.
means
Well, definitely will
unity.
do. Yeah,
Yeah.
send me all the
Okay.
details. Please email it to me. I can post it on my social media as well, and then I'll tag you in it as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So we're gonna say goodbye. See y'all later, and tell them. So, Coach Janine, you have any last words?
I just want to say, please just follow Coach Marcin. He's definitely somebody, the right person to be able to coach you through your steps, because we believe in you, just like he said. And again, this is amazing. And we can't wait for part 2 for him to come back again, because there's a lot of nugget that he gave that we need to, continue to develop on my show and Coach Tina as well. Thank you so much, Coach Tina.
Okay, you're welcome. So,
Thank you.
bye
Thank you,
for
ladies.
now.